Hello and welcome to today's Just Chopsing Podcast. And with me and myself today, I've got J Hutchinson. And we've had Jack on before and we had a bit of a laugh. And how's it going, Jack?
It's going all right, mate. Yeah, I mean, obviously you liked having me on so much that you're a man down already. One of you's not shown up.
He's already bolted. Oh, he was really looking forward to this as well. I don't know what's happened to him.
Well, there was obviously some discussion of big baps, wasn't there? That's why he's not shown up.
Because he met you, didn't he, at the Patriot, was it?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. What, on the last tour?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. It probably was. I think it was the Patriot. I think didn't we do like a quick interview or something there? But yeah, I played the Patriot quite a few times, so I can't remember which tour it was. But
Yeah, it was the last one.
I'm sure it was a great gig though.
Yeah. And he said that he really liked meeting you, and he was really looking forward to this today. But I don't know where he is. So.
Yeah, clearly, he's behind that banner you've got behind you. He's going to burst through.
He might do.
3D,
But
yours the revenge.
in his defense, I did forget to send him the link, and I've only just sent it. I don't know what I was doing. I was reading your thing that Wes sent me, your bio thing, or your press kit, and I was looking at some other stuff. So, but yeah. Anyway, so you've got a new 4-track EP that's just been released.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was supposed to be 10 tracks, but I just couldn't afford it. I'm only joking. Yeah, I've got this brand new 4-track EP.
We'll get your manager to pay for it.
Hey?
Get your manager to pay for it.
Yeah, right. You won't play around. So this, yeah, it's 4 tracks, and there's a bonus DVD, which
Oh, right, okay.
most people, when I tell them that, are like, "Why? Why have you done a bonus DVD?" But I used to love all that sort of stuff, and I bought like a Winery Dogs album a couple of years back where they'd done this sort of, like the deluxe album sort of thing where they give away like a free DVD with it. So I thought, why not try and do a DVD for my next release? So that's where I got the idea from, the Winery Dogs.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's not my content on the DVD. It's Thomas the Tank Engine. So you know,
But yeah, back in my day, we used to get like a free EP with your LP.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
there wasn't such thing as DVDs then.
one is too tight to mention now, isn't it, for everyone? They won't be doing that these days.
Yeah, man, what's going on with all these cancelled gigs and
Yeah. Well,
ticket sales and
it's been a bit weird, isn't it? I think everybody spent most of the sort of 18 months where COVID was really, affecting a lot of people, thinking once all of this is over, this is going to be like the boom period for live music.
yeah,
And actually, I think a lot of it is down to people's skin. They can't afford to do multiple shows. A big thing, actually, for a lot of fans of my music that are talking to me is um, they used to kind of come around the country. So they'd stay in different hotels
yeah,
and actually staying in a travel lodge or a Premier Inn or wherever they might want to stay has jumped from 40 quid a night to about 120 quid a night. And so they're not willing to do it. So um, there's loads of different reasons, and it's a bit of a shame. But as an artist, you've just got to keep going and keep rocking. And if people come to the gigs, that's great, obviously. But I'll be out there doing my thing anyway.
yeah. I mean, that's to be honest, I think that's the way you should look at it. Because yeah, it's all right saying, "Oh well, we can't afford to go to the gig," or not the punters. I mean, the artists. We can't afford to travel there, or we can't afford to do this, and we can't afford to turn up and play for 3 men and a dog. But you should. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
if in my opinion, that's like going back to your roots. That's going back to old school gigging, if you like. Because not everybody had a full house every night. I think artists have got a bit complacent, to be honest.
Hey man, when I started gigging in Burnley, we were lucky to get about 5 people through the door when
Yeah, exactly.
20 years ago. And so we always thought, if we get 5 people through that door, we're going to give them one hell of a show. It was always
Yeah,
the attitude of never cancel, and then, give people a rock show. And there's a lot of fun in that, when you've
yeah,
got those gigs where you feel like your back's against the wall and you've really got to pull out all the stops to make it a good gig for people. I think that's pretty cool. But I think another thing that's affected it actually is so many bloody festivals. Like when I was, I've been touring probably for about 7 years now.
yeah.
And of course, there were festivals going into the winter period, but not to the same levels we're seeing this year, where you know, in the past you'd probably have that summer festival season, so a lot of bands would play those festivals, and then come September, October, they're sticking their albums out and they're doing their headline tours or support tours or whatever. I think a difficult thing at the moment is there's so many festivals on, and I think that affects the ticket buyer because they think, well, if I pay 30 quid, I can see these 15 bands rather than going out and buying the individual gig tickets. And I'm sure people will disagree with me a little bit on that, but I think that has affected it a little bit as well. I was given loads of offers for festivals over into the winter period, and I was like, let's play all these festivals, and no one's going to come and see me on my headline tour. So
Yeah.
we made a decision not to do it, and maybe we're idiots for doing that. I don't know, but I think we're all kind of. I feel for everybody, and the festival organisers are in the same boat I'm in as an artist. We're all just trying to survive at the moment, so that's not being critical of them. It's just the way I see the landscape right now.
Yeah, the only knock I've got on festival organisers really is it's the same bands over and over again, you know.
It's not though. It's just that everybody looks like me. So you keep thinking I'm on all these festival lineups. It's not. No, it's just
Yeah, but I know you're not, but
Yeah.
it's like it's a bit of like a revolving door sometimes, and it's like, well, yeah, do I really want to go and see them when I can see them next week over there, or with a few different other bands, but like two or three of the headline bands are the same. It's a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? I think I feel a lot for, like the bands that were kind of where I was, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where I was really just starting out and trying to get gigs, and that in itself was a challenge. There's a lot of similar acts on a lot of venues, and so where are all the new bands? Like the
Yeah,
bands that were the new acts sort of 3 or 4 years ago are still the new acts. They're still getting all those shows, and maybe after my headline tour in October, November, I should just, fuck off for a bit and retire and then let someone else have a bang, But I think I'm worried about that actually to a certain extent, where all the kind of 22, 23-year-old rock and roll bands coming through.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, like a lot of my youngsters, like you said, and yeah, everybody needs to work or go to school, and there's no money around, like you said, and kids nowadays live with their parents until they're like 35.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I don't know. The times have definitely changed.
It's an odd moment, isn't it? But hopefully, I mean, it feels a little bit better than it did 12 months ago to me. So you just got to keep going. I mean, I've been playing music in bands for 23 years now,
Yeah,
and I've been in lots of different environments where you feel like the world has ended. I've been in situations where I've been in bands where we've signed like record deals, and then um, it all kind of comes to nothing, and you end up owning labels, loads of money.
yeah.
I mean, at
Tell me
least I'm
about
not in that
it.
situation. So yeah, it is what it is at the moment, mate.
Yeah, yeah. So, how your first single off the EP then was called "Days of Thunder"?
Yes.
How was that really? Fucking hell, I can't get my words out now. I can't even think what I was going to say. How was that received? I was going to say.
I think it was received really well. I mean, it was a good song that I knew when I'd written it. There's certain songs you write and you think it's a really fucking good song that, and like
Yeah,
I thought that when I wrote it, I thought this is a good track, and I'd been offered this opportunity to work with Kevin Shirley, which was a bit of a dream come true because he produced all these albums that I've actually got. We're selecting some stuff in a bit. I've got some Kevin Shirley stuff here, but he's like a bit of a hero of mine, and so to be offered that opportunity. And I think actually knowing that I was working with him made me write this song because it's a bit Maiden-esque. It's got that kind of gallop about it. You could sing it in a Bruce style. I mean, nobody wants to hear me do my Bruce Dickinson impersonation. But yeah, I think it's a good tune. It's got a good guitar solo in it as well, which is really the main thing.
yeah,
So yeah, it's pretty wicked. And the video's pretty cool for it as well. That was, I shot that video just after kind of, I was having a bit of a movement in terms of my band.
okay.
That sounds like a bowel movement. I don't mean it like that. But changing the lineup for the live band, and so I didn't really have a band to shoot a video with, and
I was
so
going to say, I watched the video and it was a bit. I thought, all right, Jack, what are you doing in that white room?
they've been sucked into the void. That's what had happened. That's anybody that plays in the band with me has got to be fully aware that eventually they will be sucked into a black hole of oblivion. So that's why I did it on my own. But yeah, I think it's quite a cool video. It looks a little bit like the idea is the Matrix, where he's in there's that scene where all the kind of guns come out.
Yeah.
And obviously the budget didn't stretch as far as that. I mean, we had a packet of Pringles and stuff for the camera, but we didn't have the gun rack. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
So what's happened to your band then?
As I say, man, they just got sucked into a black hole and left me. No, so Laz and Felipe have been my touring band for about 4 years now. So when we did the album launch tour back in February, at the end of the tour, they both just said, look, we're going to move on and do different things. Felipe's joined this, it's like a kind of Chicago blues band that play around London. So he's kind of happy doing that. And, that's not really what I do anymore.
Yeah.
I don't really do as much blues as I used to. And Laz, I think Laz is working on like this, he's working on a couple of solo things. Laz is a massive metal fan. And so he's really into Gojira and that kind of stuff. So he was working on, I think, like this Lord of the Rings themed metal record or something like that. A bit bonkers. So
bit proggy.
Yeah, Laz is he's an interesting songwriter actually in his own respect. So I think it's interesting how bands. I usually think bands last about 2 or 3 years because people. I've heard they have children, they want to get a proper job. They realize that traveling around the country or traveling around Europe or wherever you are in the back of a van for 9 months out of the year ain't that healthy. And so most people
and it doesn't really pay a lot either.
Well, it doesn't pay a lot when you're playing with me. It's like I understand it. So what it did do is it kind of made me think differently about writing new music, and I then had to put a new band together. There's a 2 or 3 week period where I was like, fuck, I've got all these gigs booked, I've got no band. But Phil Wilson, who I played with Phil briefly in the past, and Felipe nearly left the band about 12 months ago. Phil kind of was on board for that, but then Felipe kind of came back. So he was the first person I rang, and he was straight away in. And then Charlie Rachel Kay, the bass player, Phil had met her and recommended her. And so, so this week we're actually in rehearsals. It's the first time we've played together. And I have to tell you, they're good players. Like, funny, like we turn up at the rehearsal space and they're like, we've got a 20 song set. Like if I forget a bit of the songs, I'm sorry, Jack. And I was like, trust me, I'll be forgetting bits of these songs. That's why we do rehearsals. It's more to do with me remembering everything. So it's sounding pretty shit hot, and I'm really pleased with it. So I'm sad that Laz and Felipe left, because they're good guys and we did a lot together. But it's always kind of exciting when you've got a new band because it kind of re-energizes everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be good.
Very good. So you just did mention something about Kevin Shirley.
Yes.
So I asked you, I sent you a message actually, asked you to pick 5 of your all-time favorite songs.
Yeah.
And not particularly rock songs. I thought any songs, would be good because then we don't have to really get stuck in one genre. I know you're primarily a rock artist and you probably like rock music the best. But
I've actually picked 5 Natalie Imbruglia songs. I hope that's all right.
That's cool, man. If that's what you like, that's what you like.
Hey, she's got some good tracks actually. But yeah, I have picked 5 songs, and as I said to you just before we came on air, that I had 5, and then I swapped 4 of them out just before we came on air. So things may change in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Because you couldn't make your mind up.
Yeah, exactly. I've got too many favorites.
I think it's a really tough question actually. Pick 5 of your favorite songs.
Do you know, I once asked a guy who, back when I was doing kind of session guitar stuff, I joined this band, and I said to the bloke, we were talking about influences, and he said, who are your main influences? I said, well, my big hero is Jimmy Page. And I said, so who's your influence, and who do you listen to? And he went, I don't listen to anybody but myself. And I thought,
okay.
And I was like, really? And he said, yes. He was like, I write such good music. Why would I ever listen to anybody else? And I thought, God, you're a fucking wanker.
Yeah, what arrogant prick.
Unsurprisingly, that relationship did not last particularly long. There you go.
No, that's what a terrible thing to say.
So I'm just clarifying, I haven't picked any of my songs.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
My
I'd
favourite
pick
song
one.
is
I'd pick one of
Justified,
yours.
eh?
No, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to chop this episode up and I'm going to use it for the radio show on Friday.
We'll just cut all of me out, and then you'll have a good episode.
I can't do that because David haven't turned up. So I thought, well, this would be a good concept. Maybe I can chop it up, and that's obviously if you don't mind, I'll chop it up and use it for the radio.
Yeah, cut all the swearing out.
Nah, leave it in there, man. Doesn't matter. I don't think.
I once got warned when I think it was on, like, is it BBC Introducing or something like that? And I turned up to do this interview, and I'd been down the pub, so I was a bit sauced, and I was like swearing everything. And the guy was like, "Look, I've just got to tell you, if you swear when you're on air, you're in big trouble. You're gonna get this big fine." And I was like, "Yeah, man." But, imagining I'm in like Motley Crue or something, but
Yeah.
actually nobody ever fucking heard of me. And they were just like, if this guy swears, we're just yanking him off. Not in a good
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, we got told off when we first started our show on Scotland Rocks Radio, actually.
Really?
Yeah, we got told off for swearing, and I had an interview with the guys that own it because we're not on Scotland Rocks Radio anymore, actually. And and he said, "Well, we've only got 5 rules, and you've broken them all already." We'd only did 2 shows.
Gosh. Well, thankfully we can be more respectable tonight, can't we?
Yeah, well, we've started off all right, haven't we?
Yeah.
We don't have to go down the same road as the last one.
Censored.
Yeah, we don't want to be censored again. I do want you to share these episodes. But I talk about complaining. I mean, I'm not complaining. I just call it venting. Actually,
Yeah.
I think if you vent, because actually life's pretty good. You can't really criticize anything, so you can't complain about stuff. You just vent, and then and then you go back to normal life after 5 minutes, and it's okay.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I like a bit of a moan, actually. I think people who know me would probably say, particularly when I've played football, and we tend to lose actually quite a lot, and I just get so infuriated by shit. But it's good. I'd rather do that at five-a-side football than lose my shit on stage, which is what I used to do. So, but that was when I used to play kind of like real boozed up bars where everybody just wanted to kick off. Maybe that was the impact I used to have on people, but I'm more of a sensible character these days. It's because I don't drink, so there you go.
Yeah. I remember.
Boozing.
Yeah. Did you see that guy smashing his tennis racket up last week?
No, what was that?
I don't know. He lost in some tennis match, and he had a proper macaro moment.
Really?
And he actually smashed his racket to smithereens.
Well, I've never played tennis, and I think that's probably most sports I do not play because I'm quite competitive, and also the mix of being quite competitive but also incredibly shit.
Yeah,
it's not a good combo. So it's like I remember I went to a stag do a few years ago and played crazy golf and ended up just chucking my blooming, the club across the green because I was just infuriated by the whole thing. And so I think as I've got a little bit older, I've tried to be more, well, let's say, a bit more cool about things. I just mean less of a dickhead. I don't know whether people that are close to me would agree with that, but I think I am less of a dickhead.
Yeah, I'm the same. If I start something, I'm really competitive as well. It's like I started because I used to own a pub, so I started a darts team.
Oh, right.
Obviously, you need a darts team, so you can travel to other pubs and meet different people. But I started a darts team. So then one of my players was really good, so I was like, "Oh, come on, we'll have a go at being semi-professional." So I ended up playing in the Swiss Open and the Dutch Open, and
Really?
yeah, I'm crap. You know what I mean? But it's like, let's do it. And then I started playing like 10-pin bowling. I had my own bowling ball made, and I was like, "Fucking hell, come on, I can do this."
You don't want to get the two instruments mixed up and start playing darts with your bowling ball.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah. But they're both quite, I'd imagine, quite sort of dangerous instruments. If you lose your temper at a sport,
they can be.
darts are a bit iffy.
I did it with golf as well. Bought a set of Big Berthas golf clubs because this guy was nagging me for ages and ages. Come and play golf with me. I was like, I ain't playing fucking golf. That's for old men,
Yeah.
And he's like, come on, I got a spare set of clubs. And he'd been playing golf for a couple of years. So we went out onto this 9-hole course, had a game of golf with him, and I beat him, and he was like, "You fucking wank." I never played before.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe I'll get into golf at some stage, but I still feel like I've got something of a football career ahead of me. But we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. I always get into fights a bit, actually, I'd say in five-a-side football, and that's probably not the best thing when you're about to head out on tour. I'm playing tomorrow evening, and it's the end of season game, so that usually is, everyone goes down the pub afterwards.
Yeah.
Although I don't booze anymore, but yeah, I've just started rehearsal. We've got more rehearsals going into next week. I've got a show on Saturday, so I better keep out of trouble, actually.
Yeah. Don't end up breaking a leg or something, or an
Yeah,
arm.
yeah, or my hat. That'd be the worst. I'm still
Oh, you
running
don't
around
play
with
in
a ball
goal, do
hat
you?
on. Yeah, it's good for heading, actually. You can catch the ball on it.
So, yeah, you can't see the top of it. It's got a big dent in it. All right, then go give me your first track.
So, this week I've been listening to a lot of Ozzy Osbourne because his new
Okay.
album's out. And I was thinking about, I'm obviously a big Sabbath fan, have been for years. And I thought, what are my favorite Ozzy Osbourne tracks? And I was going to pick, Crazy Train, actually. I probably still jam along with Crazy Train at least once a week because I use it, some of the Randy Rhoads sort of guitar licks as warm-up licks for when I'm doing shows. But I thought, I'll pick a track that isn't necessarily one of his better known songs, but it was a song that when it came out, it really got me into Zach Wild, and I remember the video for it, and it's called Gets Me Through, and it came out probably about 20 years ago now, and I've managed to find my original CD single earlier on,
Oh,
which actually is a DVD single, which is another thing that bands were doing in the early 2000s. But what a riff! And it's one of those songs where straight away I wanted to learn it on guitar. And so a
yeah.
lot of my selections were songs that inspired me to pick up the guitar and try and play like the musicians that play on it. So yeah, I think it's a really, really good song.
All right, okay. I can't say I've heard it. I never really got into Ozzy that much.
All right, well I'll get another one out there.
No, but I mean, like I said, we spoke before. Like growing up, I was always a punk, and I was into like heavy metal. But Ozzy just never really did it for me with his voice. I think.
Mm.
I mean, I used to love Bob Dylan, but I mean, he can't sing either. But I think Ozzy's like, I mean, everybody says he's like the godfather of metal or rock, but yeah, I don't know, man. I just couldn't. Obviously I like Paranoid. Everybody likes Paranoid, don't they? But Black Sabbath, and Iron Man and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I never. I mean, I thought Bark at the Moon was a terrible song.
Really? Gosh,
Yeah.
one of my faves. I think with his voice, it's a bit like I'm a big Neil Young fan. Neil Young's one of my
Yeah.
favorite artists, but a lot of people I know just can't stand his voice. And Ozzy's
Yeah.
a bit like that for a lot of people. They don't like his. I actually really like Ozzy's voice. I think it's quite unique, but there's a lot of people don't dig it. Same with, I mean, Zach Wild sings a lot like Ozzy, and a lot of people cannot stand Zach's voice, but I think it's fucking great. So, I mean,
don't know if
a
it's
lot.
really his
Yeah,
voice, but I don't know. It might just be the music, to be honest. But
yeah. You
you know
just
what I mean?
hate his music. That's what it is, isn't it?
I don't hate all of it. I like some of it, but not.
Good job you haven't reviewed my EP. God, I hate it. 0 out of 10.
No, I quite like it actually. It's pretty good.
Well, it's because I'm not trying to sing like Ozzy, which is what I used to try and do.
Oh, I
But I
didn't,
think
did
it's
you?
a good song, and I might watch this after we've done this interview because it's got the. I mean, this was obviously. It's like today where the ploy to get bands in the charts is to release your album on 17 different colors of vinyl. Sky blue and dogshit brown, and everyone buys 15 copies, and you get in the charts, but you've only actually got 50 fans. This is what the bands were doing in the early 2000s. It's like, how do we get our single in the charts when nobody's going to fucking buy it? Oh yeah, we'll get it done on a DVD. CD 1 and 2. CD 2's got 3 B-sides that are absolutely shit, but if you're into the band, you'll buy it because you want to get everything.
Yeah.
And I was one of those purchasers, so I was the sucker getting Ozzy back in the charts in the early 2000s.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see that thing about Salman Rushdie a couple of weeks ago getting stabbed in the eye?
What?
Yeah, Salman Rushdie was doing I think it was in America. He
In
was
New
doing,
York, wasn't it?
yeah, he was doing a
Yeah.
talk, wasn't he, about, I'm not sure if it was about free speech or not, actually. But I know he was doing it was at a writers' club, wasn't it? And that guy,
Something like that, yeah.
yeah, and then that guy came on and well, just before they started, actually, the guy came on and rushed the stage. Well, he didn't rush the stage, but he ran on stage and stabbed him a few times, and stabbed him in the eye and a few times in the body. but all the writers that were there are like part of this group, this writing group, where they're all like sort of protected, because he was like protected, wasn't he, for a long time because he had that fatwa on him and stuff. But they're like they write things that nobody dares write about, if you like. So he was in this writers group, giving a speech to this writers group, and so actually all the people, instead of everybody going like, "Oh, he's been attacked," about 75 of these writers all jumped on this guy and stopped Salman Rushdie from. Well, he was already being attacked. He got stabbed like 5 or 6 times, but they actually all rushed to help rather than stand back, which I thought was a really good thing.
I think if somebody jumped on stage and tried to attack me, most of my fans would just probably see it as a chance to go and get a beer. I think it would be,
or video it.
I mean, I've had that. I've had it a few times where people have jumped on the stage, and it's usually just drunk idiots. But I've had it where I've turned around and someone's trying to grab a guitar off the back of the stage.
Really?
I mean, that's like I'm happy to kind of be like, come on, man, you maybe had a bit too much. But as soon as somebody tries to touch my Les Paul, that's like, no way, man.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was. I mean, obviously, it's not a very good story for Salman Rushdie getting stabbed, but at least it showed some sort of level of decency amongst people instead of like just all taking a video on your mobile phone and whatever.
Yeah.
Like these fucking kids do, and when people are getting beaten up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Good effort. Good effort, writers.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that you get that sense of community with a lot of music fans that they're quite protective of artists, and
Yeah.
there's lots of footage on YouTube of. I remember when Slash got attacked on stage.
I remember that. Yeah.
And he tried to carry on, didn't he? He picked his Les Paul back up, and
way out of tune, wasn't
it was completely fucked. He was doing "Sweet Child of Mine," and you're a little bit like, I think the intonation's out a little bit now.
Yeah.
There's a great one of Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes. I've got a Black Crowes tune actually as one of my selections. But yeah, this guy runs across the stage, and Chris has got his ginormous microphone stand looking like he's in Almost Famous, and he just swings it and whacks the guy off the stage and just carries on. And Rich is just like,
Yeah. Court case coming in.
I think if someone tried to do that with me, I'd probably just try and run off. It'd be like seeing me running around the stage trying to run away from them. I haven't stretched my hamstrings. Give me a sec.
Go on and give me song number 2.
So song number 2, I was going to go with some Guns N' Roses.
Oh, right, okay.
So there's loads of tracks that I could pick off Use Your Illusion 2.
Yeah.
It would be easy to go after that for Destruction, because obviously there's loads of stuff on there that's really well known, lots of people's favourite tracks. But the song off this that really, I remember hearing this when I was a little kid, was You Could Be Mine, which was on the Terminator 2 soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it's the bit where John Connor kind of turns around to his foster dad, and he's like, she's not my mom, Tad. And then he basically just drives off, and then you could hear Axl doing, and I was like, wow, that's a great song. And, I probably was only about 10 years old. I'd convinced my mum that it was a kid's film. So she rented this film from Blockbuster.
Okay.
Or whatever Blockbuster it was I don't think it was Blockbuster in Burnley, but the video shop. Got home, and obviously the first 5 minutes is like loads of people just going. When Arnie walks into the bar, and there's a guy that's just like, "Fuck you, dibs," and my mum was. I remember she was reading the paper. She's like, "What did that guy just say?" And I was like, trying to keep. I don't think he said anything. Anyway, I was obsessed with that film, and I was watching it at an age when I shouldn't have been watching it. But that's what got me into Guns N' Roses was Terminator 2, and. Yeah, I just love the track, and a lot of people, we talked about Ozzy's voice, a lot of people don't really like Axl's voice, but enough people like it to, make Appetite for Destruction have sold 35 million copies.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think they like his voice now. I think they liked it then, but now it's a bit...
Yeah, I think the less said about his voice at this particular moment in time. I mean, I saw him at the Spurs Stadium last month, and...
Okay.
It sounded great where we were, but then again, everybody was singing along with every song. So,
yeah.
Including me, and everybody's doing their Axl impersonation. So you've got like all these drunks around me going, "You can be mine," and it just, Axl could not have. He could have just been not singing, and he would have. It would have still sounded like you were hearing Axl to a certain extent. or the spitting image version of Axl Rose. So yeah, that's why I picked that tune, because it really inspired me around that time to start playing guitar properly, because I'd got a guitar, so I probably was about 11 maybe when I watched that film, 10 or 11, and I was already in guitar lessons, but it was all kind of like classical guitar, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the having that sort of homework and having to go to this lesson every Monday evening. I dreaded it. But when I got into bands like Guns N' Roses, it was like, actually, I really do want to play fucking guitar. I want to play guitar like that guy who stood on a cliff face with a tiny church behind him. You know, that Slash was quite inspirational at that point. And those videos were all over like MTV, back when MTV used to play music. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, they don't play any music now, do they, MTV?
No.
Fucking reality shows and Snoop Dogg.
Well, it's probably as a result of Ozzy Osbourne, isn't it? With the Osbournes, which was probably I think this single came out when the Osbournes was on, so they were like, let's capitalize on the Osbourne success. Let's get an Ozzy album out, and yeah, I mean, it was like one of the first reality TV shows. I should make a reality TV show about being on the road with my fucking band. That would have been hilarious. Me, Laz, and Felipe over the last couple of years. I have to see whether Charlie and Phil are up to the task of the comedy elements of touring. But yeah, anyway, Guns N' Roses is the second selection.
All right, cool. Go on then, number 3.
So number 3 is Natalie Imbruglia. No, I'm only joking. So I picked a Kevin Shirley produced record.
Yeah.
Which is the Smith Kotzen album, which came,
it's
about a year ago now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But,
I think they toured it last summer, did they?
Yeah, I saw them on the tour.
Maybe August, September time.
Yeah, I mean, Richie Kotzen, he's an artist I'd sort of listened to in the past, and I kind of dug his stuff, but when he did this record with Adrian Smith, and I'm a big fan of Adrian Smith from Maiden, this is kind of really my cup of tea. I was like, man, this is like more kind of classic rock sounding, really great production on it. And when Kevin was fixing my mixes, I remember getting this email off him saying he couldn't work on Days of Thunder. He couldn't finish it for another couple of days. I always remember this email because he responded and said, because I'm just finishing some stuff up for Iron Maiden. And I was like, I felt like responding and saying, hey, man, who do you think you're dealing with here? This is J Hutchinson. Tell Bruce that I want my mixes done. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So that kind of came out around the time I was, I got the news that I could work with Kevin. So it's kind of a special record for me just because of that.
And the track? Any particular track?
Oh, yeah, I didn't name a track. I could have named all of them. Taking My Chances, which is track 1, I thought was a great tune. And when it came out, I played it all the time, and it was like one of these songs I was putting on in the morning to kind of get up and like get ready for the day. And my wife Liz came in, and she was just like, I remember she came in, she's like, oh, nice to hear he's taking his chances again. And I was like, what? She said, you've had this song on for about 2 weeks, just stop playing it. And I was like, it's not that long, is it? She's like, it's like 2 weeks of listening to Taking My Chance, and it's just like, I need to not have this song on first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
I think we put on Air or something like that to change the vibe.
You could have had like Making Your Mind Up instead.
Making my mind. It's actually quite similar, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought of as soon as you said it. It's like, take me up, Making My Mind. Yeah, okay.
You're gonna get a lawsuit now. Yeah, we were watching the Just Chopsing podcast, and this bloke pointed out that it sounded very similar to this.
I hope not. I can't afford it.
Sponsored by Costa. This is a bad choice of mug for a video interview, isn't it? Because it's like
advertising
Costa, isn't it? It should have gone with Starbucks. And this is a point. The next track I'm going to pick, the album cover. I'm not sure whether this would be censored. It was censored when it first came out, but I'll hold it up and see whether Zoom crashes it. But yeah, we'll see.
Is it Never Mind the Bollocks?
No, it isn't.
Oh, because that was censored.
It is the Black Crows.
Oh, okay.
Which actually,
Amorica.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look too.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, I watched that quite recently. I watched the South Park Pandemic special, and then was like, oh, I really fancy watching Team America.
Yeah.
But yeah, So the next track I'm going to pick is the Black Crows, and it's a song called Descending, which is the last track on Amorica, which I think is just a beautiful song. And it's not guitar led really; it's actually kind of piano based. And their keys player Ed Harsh just plays this beautiful intro. And I think Chris's vocals haven't really ever sounded as good as they did on that album and that song. And so there's a lot of stuff. I think there's a lot to be said about. You don't, just as a guitarist, you don't have to listen to guitar music all the time. Like
No.
I don't listen to. I listen to a lot of heavy guitar and blues guitar, but I don't listen to it all the time.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of John Carpenter, so I listen to a lot of horror movie soundtracks. It's a bit bizarre, but that's actually kind of what I put on in my headphones when I'm trying to go to sleep to drown out the tinnitus that I've got a bit of tinnitus. You put on like the Halloween theme, and you just like. If you forget to like switch it off, you wake up at 3 a.m. It's like, ding, 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 just like,
Did Karen sing any words in that?
Is what, sorry?
Did Karen sing any words in it? Karen Carpenter.
Oh no! I mean, that would have been one hell of a collaboration. They've just announced the new John Carpenter album today. I didn't read the press release though. Maybe maybe they've used some samples and then done a bit of a mix mash there. I don't know.
A mashup.
Yeah.
The Carpenters.
I think you'd probably need a bit of a, you'd have to listen to some Natalie Imbruglia after that, I reckon.
Yeah, maybe. Or some more Bugs Fizz.
Yeah.
So, go on. And we're on your last. Oh, we're on your last choice already.
Done this quite quickly, haven't I?
I can't believe. That's okay. It's fine. I mean, we've been talking for 45 minutes, so.
So I was going to pick a Led Zeppelin track. And again, a bit like Guns N' Roses, although You Could Be Mine's a pretty famous song, but Ozzy's song gets me through, slightly different tune. There's loads of Zepp tunes that I could have picked off really the first 4 records, because Rock and Roll, Black Dog, obviously Stairway, When the Levee Breaks. There's some incredible stuff that Since I've Been Loving You is one of my all-time favorite tunes. But I thought I'd pick The Ocean off Houses of the Holy.
Okay.
Because it was when I first learned to play that song, it was quite interesting in terms of the structure of it, and I think I've employed the structure of that track on a lot of my songs, where you shift the tempos up, and it's almost like it's like 3 songs in one.
Yeah.
And so some of my tunes, like Justified, for example, there's a song of mine called Justified, has like different key changes and tempo changes and stuff like that. And so Zeppelin taught me a lot about keeping the audience's attention and not just repeating the same bloody riff for 5 minutes until everybody's just kind of falling asleep. And The Ocean, I think, is a really good funky type of riff. There's some stuff in the later years of Zeppelin that is a bit more, it's just a little bit more rhythmic and funky, that is quite different to the early stuff. And I think House of the Holy, when I first got House of the Holy, I wasn't a big fan of that record, and I kind of got into it through getting the Song Remains the Same VHS. That's what I had originally, because that was from that tour. So there's a few of the tracks like No Quarter, for example. Like loads of really cool versions on the Song Remains the Same. So yeah, I'm a massive Jimmy Page fan. Obviously a fan of all the other members of the band. And I just think it's a great tune, and the production on those Zepp records, I just think is so different. It sounds so real and fresh, and you put them on still, and they sound like they were recorded. It sounds like they were recorded yesterday to me. Whereas I think a lot of rock production over the last 20 years, because people have been sort of led more by technology. Their records date quickly because they sound like, everything sounds like it was recorded in 2002 because it all sounds like Nickelback, and that kind of vibe. Whereas I think Zepp is pretty timeless.
Yeah.
Okay. You can do the opposite to that though, which is what I've done, which is sort of continuously infuriate my fans by making changes in my musical direction. And so you get like some blues fans that really loved the first couple of records were fuming when they heard my last record, The Hammer Falls. This guy messaged me. He said, "I'm not going to buy your music again because you've sold out." And I responded, I said, "I'm sold out. I've just written some fucking good songs." Fucking sold out. It's not like keep referring to Natalie Imbruglia, but it's like it's not like I'm selling fucking 100,000 copies of my record. I'm just writing songs, and I think some people really like that when you make music that sounds just like your last album because they know what they're getting. It's like when you go and buy a can of Fanta, it's going to taste like the last fucking Fanta that you had and the Fanta that you had 15 years ago. And a lot of people really like that sort of thing. And you know, I like Ozzy Osbourne. I've always loved Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
I got his new album this week. It sounds exactly the same as the fucking Black Sabbath stuff that was done 45 years ago, with slightly better production. I tell you what, it's a good job I didn't pick an Oasis song, isn't it? I could have picked an Oasis song. It sounds like they all sound the same, you know.
They do, yeah. Oh, and the big shock of the week then was Dan Byrne quitting Revival Black.
I did see that, yeah.
They just get a #2 album in the rock chart and then he quits. Like 2 days later.
Go out on top, innit? That's what it is. I mean, I've tried to quit my own band about 15 fucking times, but because it's called Jack Johnson, I can't do it.
Well, they keep leaving you.
Yeah. You know, yeah. Well, over the last 23 years, I've had a track record of musicians running away from me. Hilarious. But yeah, that's a shame because I don't think I've ever. Oh, I did do a gig with Revival Black because they did the Ear 8 New Wave of Rock and Roll album launch in London at the O2 Academy. So I met them all there, and they were great, a really good band. So I think they've got a new singer. Is it?
Yes, it's a girl, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to be permanent. I know that she's filling in, but they've
Difficult,
announced. Yeah,
because fans associate the singer is the really. I mean, we've seen all this stuff that's gone on with the Choir Boys, where Spike's quit, and of course everybody's like the Choir.
Well, Spike didn't quit; he got kicked out.
Right. Okay. Well, unfortunately, people associate band names with the singer. So, I hope I hope that Revival Black can sort it out because, as you just said, they've done really well. We've got a charted album. This is the point where they should be going right. Fucking, let's kick on. Next 12 months, we're going to pull the shit out of this record. So, who knows? I've seen it a lot with bands. You know, as I say, man, I've been doing this a long fucking time where everybody they all fucking decide they're going to quit, and then they. I've had it so many times where people have like gone, oh man, I'm just gonna quit. I'm gonna start my own band, and then about a week later they ring me back and they're like, I've made a mistake, mate. You're gonna come back, and I'm like, yeah, you have made a fucking mistake. I've already replaced you. So who knows? Maybe they'll get back together at some stage, and you know, it's a shame because they should, as I say, they should be.
Yeah, it's just weird timing. I thought it was just really weird timing.
Yeah.
Unless he fucked the bass player's girlfriend or something.
Well, I've been in situations with bands where that sort of shit's gone on, and you know, actually they were I tell you what, they were pro players. They carried on, completed the run of shows, they completed the tour. And it was like as soon as the tour finished, that was it. That was the end of it. But I think we got about 3 more gigs, and they just like let's just put it to one side. But all that kind of onstage magic where they were locking eyes, and it was like a bass player like that. It was like they're playing, looking at each other, going like,
yeah. No, instead of locking eyes, they're giving each other daggers.
I never got into any of that mucking around. I was too obsessed with trying to play my guitar properly, which is probably why I'm the only fucker still doing it after 20 odd years. Stop sleeping with the other members of the band's partners. We're gonna have to play fucking bass, mate.
Yeah.
I should tell you, funny story. That bass player showed up to rehearsal once without his bass. It was one of the most bizarre things I've ever encountered in a band. And so, like, you know, Laz and Felipe, you know, quit 6 months ago, whenever it was. But at least they showed up to the fucking rehearsals with their equipment. Yeah. It was hilarious. So we were like, "Hey, man, you ready to go?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I was like, "One thing you might be missing, where's your fucking bass guitar?" And he was just like, "Oh man, I've left it on the tube."
Oh, fuck.
Left it on the tube. I mean, this is why you shouldn't be in a band with somebody who takes copious amounts of drugs. That's what I learned over the years. Stick to the Costa.
I hope it was an expensive guitar.
I don't think he ever got to find out because somebody else would have sold it. So
yeah, for sure, yeah.
I don't think it was. I think that guy. I think he he didn't quit. He was politely asked to leave, and then that was one of those things where you sort of sack somebody, and you're like, thank God.
Yeah.
And then about 3 months later, he was all over Facebook, and he joined. It wasn't the Libertines, but it was somebody like that. He's
Yeah.
got like a record deal, and he was like on. Well, this is after Top of the Pops, so I don't know, but he was like in a band for about 6 months that were all over the place, and you're like, how the fuck? I bet he's not forgetting his bass showing up to their rehearsals. So, musicians, mate, what a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna play
Those Sam
Days of
Crosby
Thunder.
track.
No,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna play Days of Thunder on the radio.
Cool.
Can I play another song off your EP?
You could play Days of Thunder again because it's so good. I'm only joking. How about you do what? Do you want to play another one off the new EP?
Yeah. Is that okay? I don't want to get in trouble with your manager.
Don't. Yeah, no, I don't want to get in trouble with my manager. Don't play What Doesn't Kill You because it goes on for fucking ever.
That's the first track, isn't it?
That's the first track. Maybe
Yeah, it's about 8 minutes long, isn't it?
Yeah, and that it's 8 minutes in, and then it has an interval. You know, like when you used to go, like I
You go
remember
for a coffee.
the Titanic at the cinema with my grandma, and about halfway through they stopped it, and we had an ice cream. That's what you get with the choice of first track, isn't it? You know, that's what they say. Stick your really long track at the beginning. Do you want to do the Hammer Falls because that's shorter, and that's you know, you can make your brew, and you don't have to make another one halfway through. And that was the track that sort of sealed the deal with Kevin as well, actually, because I sent him that song and he sent me a nice email back saying he thought it was a really good tune. So yeah, so that's probably my favourite song on it, along with Days of Thunder. You know, there's only 4 songs to pick from, so it's slim pickings in it to pick the best one. But there you go.
Yeah. Well, I got to be honest. When I got Days of Thunder sent to me, I thought, "Is this going to be a Top Gun themed track?"
I missed the boat, didn't I? Do you know what? I never actually seen the film Days of Thunder.
Okay.
And then obviously when I started doing interviews for the EP, everyone was like, "Oh, is it about Days of Thunder?" Because Top Gun Maverick had just come out.
Yeah.
And I watched it about a month ago. It's on Amazon. It's fucking terrible. It's such a bad. It's like Top Gun, but with NASCAR rate.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I have seen this film because I remember even I must have only been about 8 or 9. My dad was probably watching it, and even then I recognized that the plot made no fucking sense. And I mean, there's elements of Top Gun that doesn't really make sense, but then I was like, you know, the song title. Everybody's obviously like, "Oh, is it about Tom Cruise?"
Yeah.
It's not about Tom Cruise, but I'll tell you what, I'm never watching that film again because it sucked.
Yeah, there's nowhere near as good as Top Gun.
No. And Top Gun Maverick, I thought was brilliant. Yeah.
Is it? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's good. That's what my next EP or single is going to be called. It's going to be called Maverick, and see if there's it's when you get to like the 6th single and you start calling it Far and Away.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one where Tom Cruise played an Irish guy?
Yeah.
I think Enya did the soundtrack.
With the most terrible Irish accent ever.
Yeah, maybe that's the direction, mate. You know, difficult. It'll be the 4th solo record, difficult 4th album. Did it all in an Irish accent, and it was like a themed album about Tom Cruise, and nobody understood it. I just didn't get it, you know.
Yeah, you'd be there. Kiss me, Lucky Charms.
Yeah, you've got to be careful about that sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's yeah, maybe I'll stick to just being me.
All right, it was great to see you. Great to speak to you as well.
And thanks so much for, we've talked a lot about Laz and Philippa leaving my band. It's great to see Laz on your banner behind you, just on the right.
Yeah.
Haunting me.
Well, I hope I wish them all the success what they do as well, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. They're good guys. We're actually we're doing like a farewell gig on Saturday this week, which should be cool. And it'll be nice to see. I've not seen them in ages.
Okay.
So it'll be fun to just kind of meet up and just chat about what they're doing,
Yeah.
So it would have been cooler if we'd have just had a massive falling out, because then I could have done interviews and be like, "What, pair of wankers." But trust me, I've fallen out with bandmates in the past, and it's not much fun because you work on something and you invest a lot of energy in it, and when people move on, it's really kind of demoralizing if you've had a falling out. But got a lot of respect for those guys. They've worked hard with me over the last couple of years and build, a lot of what I've been doing with the last record, the Hammer Falls in particular. They co-wrote some of that with me. So yeah, I got a lot of thanks for them as well. So it'd be cool to see them this weekend and have a non-alcoholic beer with them. Although they'll probably be having alcoholic.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, cool. All right, cheers then, mate.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me on. It's been good.
Yeah, it's nice to catch up.
We didn't talk about bats at all during this session.
Especially big bats.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep on rocking.
I do. Thanks, mate.